This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your live market chat for Monday, February 6th, 2023. A month has already gone by. It's January. Hopefully you're doing well. I'm going to give it a minute, let everybody in. If you're in the Discord room, post your questions in the beginner chat. I'll try to answer them here. And yeah, hopefully everyone had a great weekend. Ask your questions here. So I'm going to give it a minute for people to come in. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. If you can, if I sound good to hear, good to know. Cat is on the rampage, looking to do. Thank you, Joe. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. All right, Caterpillar. I'm about to throw some bombs on that one, I think, here in a second. Feel free to join in. You're on the air. Mic check, 1 2. Yes, we're good. Look at Caterpillar. Come on, 20-day. Come to daddy. Come to daddy. Let me close all these up. And again, have a stop. Define your risk. Know what you're willing to lose. But this is what I would call... It's like no one watches the recaps. Yes. It is like no one watches the recaps. Yes, when they ask about certain things, and that's the thing, people. I take tons of notes. I know the people that are watching the recaps. And when they ask questions that clearly go against it 1000%. I'm not trying to be mean about it. I'm like, maybe you should watch the recaps if you want my help, if you're gonna ask my questions, or if you ask me questions, Watching the 20-day 251, 252, all coming together. Professional gap. So if you're looking to short Caterpillar, I think you can play this between it. Sounds good. All right, just kind of open this up. A lot of questions, a lot of thoughts. A lot of people just don't have any patience. You see the top, and it's kind of how we talk about the first dip gets bought, right? For a Caterpillar, for example. Alpha any drop, right? The first dip gets bought. Well, watch the 20-day. It's pretty simple. I don't know how many times I've said, the first drop usually gets bought, but it is what it is. Let's get into some names if no one has any questions. SPY. Now, this is the thing I keep talking about with people. I'm like, this is your retest. We say wait for retest. This is your trap here. This is your trap. Volume trap. Retest. Now, again, holding the 8-day down 3 days in a row. Could it bounce a little bit? Sure. I don't know. I don't know what level it is. Maybe the 20-day. Maybe the 400 level, since they all line up together. Probably not now. But does that mean it has to tank today? No. That's the big thing here, is that every day isn't like... Everyone wants to spill the blood days. I'm not surprised by chop tops retest. So again, trade around your positions. Be careful. Yeah, exactly. All the things lining up, evidence, and it's like I'm literally want to like break a pencil in frustration when I see people who literally aren't evidence based and are just asking questions, and it's like, I believe the market's going to bounce and do this. Okay. Got it. I don't know what else to say. It's like, if you're not evidence-based, then what are you? Feel? Is that something you can trade off of? Gut instinct, always? If your gut instinct hasn't made you a ton of money, then I don't know if you really can trust that. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it to people. It's like once they just separate themselves from the market and what they want and trying to go with the market, it gets a lot easier. It just gets a lot easier. It's just these bad habits of people are superstitious, or they think this and that, and they think that. It's like, all right, whatever. Just because it doesn't happen, and this is the thing, they find evidence like, oh, it didn't happen right away. Well, I guess my instinct was right. And how many times have you seen people get absolutely just throttled by that? And it's like, yep. Okay, that's not really a way to, it's just not going to put you in a position to really benefit, because you have to be able to make your decisions based on evidence, right? And you have to have tight, you define your risk. Everything after that, putting yourself in between, again, bull or bear, whether you like Trump, Biden, politics. Again, we're just trying to do what the market's doing. Don't add all these extra layers of confusion. So today's day, a doji before Powell speaks. Maybe it rallies on Powell speaks. I have no clue. I didn't, that Caterpillar's the only thing I'm adding today. I didn't jump into anything. People were talking about shorting things on pops. It's like, okay, I get it. I completely get it. Tesla, maybe that makes sense. Meta popping up, but again, still not anywhere close to its old, like the highs from last week. So you got to be careful. Things that are up near their highs seem a little easier because now you're defined your risk, right? Stuff that's not, you could see traps at any point. So any thoughts, questions going today? I just want to remind people, just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Yeah, naked day trader, you may have gone long Tesla 29, but man, I remember, again, I wasn't public, but I was recommending this thing in the 29s and 30s way back in the day. And nobody remembers how we absolutely nailed the top here. How did you know it was the top in November? Go watch the videos in November. Literally did a video about it. The blow off. Straight line move precedes the reversal. Long-term top. Yep. Remember down in here for years. Went nowhere, and you could buy it and you could hold on to it. You could buy it and hold on to it. Now it's done. It's the ultimate retail trap. This is the stock that people will buy and hold on to, and it'll go nowhere for 10 years, and they'll think, well, I thought it was going to go higher. Okay, I mean, you got to trade it. Just got to trade it. Short Tesla. I mean, I like the Tesla Q here. I mean, it makes sense with a stop. Again, I don't need to chart it. Just this thing's done a double off the lows. I mean, there's nothing bullish about what they have going on. I mean, competition endlessly. Electric cars, margins, I mean, theirs are wide or bigger than the average car manufacturer. They're probably only going to come in because, labor is going to get frustrated. Oh, they're making so much money off of us. Just a million reasons. Again, there's no limits to the competition. It can come from anywhere. And again, so what price stocks do is they price in the best case scenario, and then they come back to reality. Oh yeah, Mercedes, the Audis are nice. I mean, there's a lot of nice electric cars. I personally don't want one. I mean, I'd hate to spend 45 minutes charging up my battery on a road trip. I can just pull in a gas station, just fill up, and get the hell out of there. But everybody's got their thoughts. I mean, my biggest concern will always be with electric is how to control it remotely. I know they can still control gas engines with all the computers in them, but I don't know. Just seems a little sketch. Let me just pull through the evidence why I'm bearish, because no one really is asking any questions. Let me pat myself on the back. Dollar, told you I'll watch the blue zone. Now we're coming into the next resistance zone. Could it chop for a little bit? I mean, it makes sense. But it also could just start screaming higher. I mean, I personally don't have any dollar positions on, but helps me feel better about my shorts. TLT, rates going higher. Retest the 200-day, double top. We'll see. I mean, the market ain't going to like higher rates. And again, if the market is screaming into a recession, then lower rates will come too. But remember, volatility in the bond market's what we're watching for. The VIX gifts were given to you down in the 18s. Just chilling. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but we've seen this before. But are we ready? Are you ready for some football? No, I'm just saying, if you hold over this 19 area, wakey, Vixie. Again, SPY, you already looked at. It's not really, I mean, again, I think we'll go back to 400 at some point and then anticipate a bounce, right? What kind of bounce? I don't know. Give me 2 seconds. My wife is saying, package delivered. We have cameras in the front. Oh, well, actually, we have cameras all over the house, but we have front door pirates. Arr. People come and steal packages constantly. Not from us, but our neighborhood. So I don't see it at the moment. But yeah, if you're looking at the SPY, I mean, it's just one of those days where I don't think you're going to get a lot of action. Everybody's expecting something. I'm just waiting for more extremes if we get it. Give me 2 seconds. All right. Give me 2 seconds. Gonna throw an ad in here. You're gonna see how fast I can get from my front door back. And we back. All right, no other comments. Yeah, so SPY, just watch it. QQQ. Trash floats last. Trash floats last. There he goes. Is that a novice gap? Is it a novice gap? Can anyone answer this question? Does this look like a novice gap on the Qs? 1 gap, 2 gap, 3 gap, trap. Does it look like a novice gap? I think so. I mean, I think so. Everybody and their mom chasing in tech. Double bottom. Now you could argue it's a head and shoulders top, couldn't you? Huh. Textbook definition. Yeah. Pretty textbook. Well, let's talk about the IWM, because, right, it's leading up. No, it's leading down today. It's down 1 3/4%. Rut-row raggy. I mean, what did we say up near the highs? Could you get up into this range? Really thought we might be able to get 201, but is it good enough for government work? I would answer that with a resounding yes, because here, look at the VAP zone. You see it? You seen it? Been seen. And now it's, it's trying to fill the gap. I mean, that has a little gap. I mean, watch what happens here at the 195 area. Again, I would like to see the market spill over today, but I'm not really anticipating it. I think we're getting more evidence to confirm our action. It's just patience. People just don't have it. It's like if the market's not moving immediately in their direction, they don't understand. Cat, real quick. Cat's not going to fill the gap? Probably not. That's a professional gap. Why would it fill the gap? Right? I mean, I don't know if that was an earnings gap, but that's a professional gap off the lows. Did it fill it? No. Here's a professional gap off the top. Professional gap off the top. Do professional gaps get filled? Question. Do professional gaps get filled? Right away. Answer should be obvious. Do professional gaps? No. So, back to the IWM. No, they shouldn't. IWM, watch what happens. The DIA, we talked about this lagging like a dog. Roof, roof. Remember as all these other things were coming back into the December, October highs, whatever. This guy's just stuck. Stuck cheddar. Gold, congrats again if you shorted. Now, I'm not trying to be mean. People are like, you're a bully, you're a dick, whatever. Why would you short today? Now, again, I hope it collapses for dust and, puts that I have longer dated, but why would I short today? What typically happens sometimes on these big gap downs with gold? You get some chop. Now, again, coming off the top here, coming into support in a zone, I wouldn't touch gold short right now. I'd wait for it to rally or just look for other stuff. I mean, it's again, you only have so many bullets to fire. Do you want to short gold down here, or do you want to short like Meta waiting on the TikTok ban? If TikTok doesn't get banned, whatever. If TikTok gets banned, who cares? Meta's just junk. I'd be watching it up here maybe. Or Netflix. They're about to cut off password sharing. Goodbye. I don't think you're going to all of a sudden get a huge rampant of people adding. I'd be watching this. This wick is dangerous. Looks like an M. We'll see. I mean, if you pick the name, Apple, look for pops. I mean, I think tech is very easy. Semis, indecisive days. It's not a blow off top by definition, potentially. Here's your little gap, 200-day. Love the semi short. Looks fine to me. But it's not following through. That's fine, whatever. Just give it time. You have your blow off. You come into resistance. This thing goes up 160 to 250. 60 something percent. Okay. Again, look at Taiwan Semi. Remember we talked about watching this one? It's at 91 today, lagging hard. Back below. Uh-oh. 91s. I think I said 91, 92. Keep an eye on it. Pretty tired in the sense of just not much to say today. I don't know. Watch Tesla up here. I mean, if it touches the 100-day, or sorry, breaks below the 100-day, could it open up deeper? Maybe. Probably have to just use 190. But that looks pretty simple. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than just relax. If you have any questions, I don't mind answering things, but it's just one of those things. Look at XOP finally coming back down. Told you to take profits in that one. ExxonMobil. How do you play these swings? That's a great question. And I tell people with options, if you're playing the swings and it's in the options rules, you trade around your position. You know, you take money fast and then you roll out to further options on pops, and you got to be patient. And so if you say you had 10 puts on something, yeah, I can do that. You check. Sorry, if you have 10 puts, maybe you take 5, maybe you take 10. Sorry, 7. Sorry, so I'm distracting. 5 or 7. And then those 3, if they continue, good. And if it pops, then you can reload different options and in the money and lock in the greater gain. Say off all of a sudden you have an option that you buy for $3, now worth 10. You don't want to give back that $7 in profit. So you can find a different option that costs $3 probably or $4. So, yeah, since people are asking questions, let me get into the questions. Roblox, what's your I've said I would never short this stock. I have no desire to short it because I think it's a buyout target. It's just holding up high and tight. I mean, again, I'd wait for dips on that one. Shopify. I mean, this is like trash. Where do you want to short it? I don't know. I mean, when in doubt, zoom out. I'm assuming they had earnings. Okay, you got some gaps here. I mean, you're probably in close enough to... It could get up to 58. I don't know. Again, these names are so hard. I've said this 1,000 times. I don't short the shitty, excuse my language, trash names. Because they can get short squeezed. They can absolutely get short squeezed. And that's the problem with Shop. Is it worth $50 a share? Probably not. It's probably worth $5. Which we could all agree on. But could it squeeze up to 80 or something stupid? That's the biggest problem here. If I'm going to short something, I don't want it to have the squeeze on me. So you got to be late on those. So they're good questions. Just trash. I mean, I'd wait for some sort of formation to confirm a rollover here, with a long wick. Seems the Shop has long wicks on its highs. I guess you could technically say you do. Yeah, it's just trash. It's tough to know. What are your thoughts on Soxus? You talking about like the actual semiconductor index or Soxus? Because if I'm short SMH through Soxus, I don't have no problem with it. I mean, I think it's going to get back down to 225 on the SMH. Probably get back into the mid-20s on Soxus, and then you can trade around it however you want. Right? Probably back down to here, somewhere in this range. Sorry, 230 to 225. Seems logical. That might be one of the first bounce spots. Yeah, no problem. Senpachia. Be careful with the trash, man. You got to be careful with trash tech. I know it's easy to want to short it, but if you don't give yourself time, it could get squeezed. How do you play these? What do you? It's on NVIDIA define gravity weakness. I mean, again, NVIDIA is just buying its time. I mean, I don't think people realize like it is what it is in the sense of, is it really define weakness? I see lower highs in a base. If it breaks 207, adios. I mean, it's just one of those things where some stocks hold up last and some fold fast, right? There's not, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like if you're watching solar today, a lot of solar names were up, and First Solar's up just $1. I mean, it's again, if you're trying to extrapolate what happens every minute of the 6.5 hour day, you're gonna waste a ton of emotional capital, and at the end of the day, you just don't even know what the fuck is going on, and that's the problem with it. You're trying to extrapolate what's happening every 5 minutes. Excuse my language. Sorry again, Google. I don't know. Why don't you just identify the bigger trend and wait for retest or wait for things to play into certain spots? That's how I looked up. I mean, is it propped up into earnings? Maybe. I don't know. Again, I wouldn't short NVIDIA at this point. I've said I like Taiwan Semi or just the semis. I thought those were the easiest too, in my mind. Remember, what's Taiwan Semi's risk, right? China's always on its coast. American chip names, I mean, they're obviously going to flood the market with too many chips, but yeah, keep earnings on ENPH earnings after hour. Yep. We'll keep an eye on it. Solar could go nowhere, and that's where it's the saying. It's like, is there anything to really do today? No, I don't think so. Propped up. Thoughts on BA? Let's look at the BA, because I saw Boeing. They restrict, we're going to restrict Russian aluminum, and AA ripped and then it flopped. I mean, I like BA for a short here a lot, actually. I mean, I like it a lot here. You got a big volume at price node. It's basically doubled. It's trading in a little box. Once this breaks, 196. Down to 170s, 180s. I mean, it makes sense to me. Old 618 as well. Just curious if we... Yeah, I like it. Just don't chase. What's your all these bulls calling in the golden pocket? I don't even know what the golden pocket is other than what, the 50 cross and the 200? Yeah, okay. An actual reasoning to that. Formations are great when they play out. When they don't, that's when they confuse the most amount of people. How many times, probably haven't said it lately, but when you have a head and shoulders top and it doesn't end up being a top, it ends up confusing the most amount of people. Now, I know folks who've been around can verify this, that when you have a head and shoulders top that doesn't top, it ends up going much higher. And so if you have an inverse head and shoulders bottom that is not the head and shoulders bottom, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like if you have a formation and it breaks it, it's even stronger. Yeah, formations can, again, because that's the hardest thing is like, you have to be like, yeah, I believe in the formation, yes. But I also have to be aware that, like, I know the algorithms can draw the shit out. Inverse head and shoulders. I mean, I guess you could say this is a head and shoulders bottom right here, right? But then I'd zoom out and you can say, well, you have a complex, like, multi-mountain shoulder. I mean, I don't even know. I'd try not to dig too deep into this one right now. I'm just trying to look at the novice gap and then trap, and then knowing that the data is actually... I mean, as we talked about, the jobs numbers on Friday changed everything. I mean, it literally confirmed my bearishness. I mean, they're going to have to raise rates for longer, and the market's already, showing weakness in the sense of the economy. Like, they have to kill inflation. It's going to be stubborn as hell. And so with that being known, I would not be surprised by the markets retesting the lows, maybe making new lows at some point. Especially sooner than, especially a decent drop we're trading for now. Because now it's like the realization of, SpaghettiOs. It's not that bearish. Remember we talked about down here? Things weren't as bad as they seemed. GDP, 2.8%. Then we come right back. Probably that. Expected some sort of pop. Didn't expect to get back up here. Thought maybe it was a head and shoulders. Here's again another head and shoulders violation. We talked about that potentially being a shoulder line and went higher. So, again, know the formations, have an understanding of them, and when they play out, they play out. But you can't, you can try to anticipate them, obviously, but let them confirm to really believe in them, right? That's the hardest part is, like, people, what's the best way to, like, They think this formation is going to play out, and they don't let it like form, and then all of a sudden it's like, if you're wrong about it, people are just like, well, it's still head and shoulders, and it's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Or whatever, cup and handle, whatever trade you want to call it. I've seen that a lot. So like to look for the formations, love them when they play out. We all look like geniuses, but I've seen it not always play out perfection, and then it makes sense, right? If the market's meant to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people, sometimes the market's anticipating it and doing the opposite, right? Setting up the traps, right? Because I think you could say down here, for example, you had remember the bottom, like, oh, look, double top, doji. Because right now, that would trap me, right? I mean, that would obviously trap me. I'm not going to be immune to that. Here's your retest. Oh, look, trap below, doji, we're good. We're good, y'all. Then this day, inside day, oh, we were even better. Boom. Breaks the crap out of it down to 348. Then we reverse. Right? Hey, that's the stuff that can happen. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful with anticipating. You just define your loss and be thoughtful. JPAL giveth, JPAL taketh. Yeah, I guess so. Have you seen they're changing definitions, calculations? They're changing the way CEO calculated. Instead of taking 2 years, they're now taking 1. I mean, I've heard about it, but I think the market's going to do what it's going to do, right? Oh, well, that's good to know. Thank you. I mean, I know it's... of course they want to manipulate the jobs data, the CPI, the whatever. I mean, you know what I mean? I think there's a reason. Oh, look at that. Look at the SMH. You're going to make a new low, my friend? Any messages on timeline when you think the S&P fails below the December lows? December lows? You mean down here? I don't like to think like that. I mean, I'd like to know it's going to go down there at some point, but we have to let the evidence play out. This is what's so hard is you can't, there's no map. You got to get really good at the unknown and ride with it and be evidence-based and trade around it. I mean, I'd like to say maybe by the end of the month. That's my guess. I would hope, maybe. Take back the whole January effect and just start back to even for the year. Maybe that would get people to buy some more and it might be ripped back up to, say, 200-day or something. I don't know. Way too many factors to play that far out. That's why I just tell people you got to be very careful with that. Because a lot of people want to think well, if I bought March puts, it better happen between now and March. Well, you anticipated that it will, but does it have to? No, that's the problem, right? It just doesn't. It just doesn't. There you go, Meta. Go red for solar flat. Gold up 10 cents. Good old dusty bottoms. Oh, let's talk about dusty bottoms in Newmont. Wow. How many did I say this every day? Please don't buy Newmont. They're going to have to buy out another miner. It's going to kill their balance sheet, wreck their cash, grow their debt. I mean, you name all the reasons to buy miners. Usually not beneficial for these guys because they're a legacy dinosaur. It's does it really move the needle? We'll see. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Do we not say leave this one alone? And Jay Solstice, good job, bro, on your short of Newmont. It's exactly what you want to see them buying a miner. Watch this 45 area. You can see there's a little VEPA zone. I guess, yeah, you haven't gotten there yet. So just keep it simple, stupid. I mean, I hate the legacy miners. That's the thing about people don't understand this. And it's the same thing whether it was tech or, name your favorite sector. Because once the big dogs become the big dogs, at a certain point, the law of large numbers takes over. And for them to grow on a scale that gets a positive earnings multiple growth, it's usually way, way, way too late at that point. In the sense of it's not probably going to go up as much as you think. Now, Apple, there's been a few exceptions, which I think clouds the rationale. Well, Apple is just sitting on a boatload of cash. Not all these companies are. Right? As I said, Meta, the kiss of death, spending $40 billion, literally spending every dollar they have on a buyback off their bounce, bad idea. Bad idea. And keep in mind, Apple was actually buying, using debt to do the buyback, which again, they kept their cash high. I mean, again, Apple is the exception. Newmont, Metas, the IBMs, the GEs, everybody. It's just chipping away at JNUG. At what point would you consider? What do you mean, like chipping away? Buy, short, taking off the shorts? Because we're long dust. We are long dust. And I personally think that if gold gets stuck here, if you know the seasonality of gold, you don't even touch it till July. Oh, not even thinking about it now. I wouldn't even look at it until probably July. Because this could play out very similarly to last year. Just... And again, this is the thing where as someone who's traded gold and knows it pretty well, again, I'm not perfect by any means, but knowing gold and how every silly folk out there is chasing it, and then the pumping of central banks are buying it, those headlines aren't at the lows. I tried to explain them. Like, you're not seeing the advertisement of gold being bought at the lows. And if anything, did anyone see today, Russia sold like $4 billion worth of gold? Well, if Russia accumulated all this gold and deflation and the rates go higher, do you think they're going to be selling gold to fund some of their war? Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. Again, I mean, I personally love gold long term, but the Feds aren't even got close to pivoting. So it's like this trade is more of a trade around it. Yeah, miners need that big money sees value in small miners here, but again, Newmont's no different than the average retail idiot trading. Like, they're looking at gold going, oh, it must be going to the moon. We got to buy these guys now. I mean, how many times have we made a joke about EQT and like their ability to manage and hedge natural gas futures? And they lost $5 billion. Was it last year or last quarter? I can't remember. But again, the management is not immune to the hype. So just be aware of that. There's a lot of dumb people managing a lot of companies. There's very few Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or whoever you want to call that are very good at understanding how to manage their stocks and perceptions. And keep in mind, most of these guys don't even know what's going on with this stuff either, too. Remember, they're being advised by brokerages. Broke being the key word. Hey, you should buy this miner right now. Miners are going to the moon. Well, we're going to collect our $50 million transaction fee for guidance, and then you guys buy these companies. Awesome. And then your stock, your stock dropped 5%. Oh, it's only temporary. While Goldman and their advisory fee is cashing in at the bank. Keep that in mind. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? I love doing this for you guys. I appreciate the generous donations. I just hope people are waking up, because I feel like this is the thing. It's, you hate to say, use the Neo, red pill, blue pill, whatever, that whole saying. But I'm telling you, people everyone's asleep. Everyone's in the matrix. They don't even realize how the market works. Now, I'm not saying like, hey, you're guaranteed to win always. Like, nobody's saying that. But now you're not going to go from a guaranteed loser who does what the market wants them to do to lose money. Remember, they can't steal your money. You have to donate it. You have to be a very generous donor. And everyone is in trading, right? Very generous. So, EQT, yes, Hayoti, Harry, that thing is a turd basket. I mean, I'd love for them to have like a major restructuring and get rid of some people. Then I'd buy it. The conversation to buy UNG. Let me do a little rant here. This ETF decays. If you didn't know that, well, then you haven't zoomed out. And you haven't zoomed out. And you haven't zoomed out. And so people getting really excited about buying this when it's potentially nat gas could be stuck in a trading range or just down. It shows me you shouldn't probably be trading natural gas or the UNG, as we call it. Pain chamber. It's a gas chamber, whatever you want to joke. It's pain. Now, again, is it due to bounce? Technically, right? Technically, yeah. Big volumes, futures volumes, back at support. But does it mean it has to really go anywhere? Do you want to trade the UNG for 50 cents? Be the scariest 50 cents of your life? Probably not. So that's my warning to folks that continue to say, well, I feel like it's time to buy that today. Okay, well, I mean, thank God for stops. And they do their job, but now down here, it just could be in a trading range. You know, if the Feds are going to raise rates, and the winter seems to be warming up, I mean, did natural gas just demand all of a sudden go to... Probably not, but it doesn't mean the price action can't. Does this help? Make sense? Like, just for the love of God, let it play out. Because if nat gas, I think if I remember correctly, yeah, nat gas typically has a bounce in March. Oh, never mind that chart. Maybe it's March. I don't know. I would rather pull out my fingernails than trade UNG right now. I'm serious. But you guys, not you guys, but some people keep asking about it. I'm like, fudge. Here you go. High yield, junk debt. That's not what you want to see. All those other candles are green. It's like, the economy's not looking better. Junk debt has no desire. No buy. No buy. Bye-bye. So, we'll see what happens here when it gets to 200 day. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? NDAQ confirming me feelings long term about the failure of NASDAQ volumes in the bear market. I'm telling you, money dies, rotates. It doesn't die, it rotates, and people will not be buying tech in the future. I got burned in UN 3 times, and I deleted it from my watch list. That's probably about average right now for the average person. Again, I'm not too concerned about First Solar. I mean, I would take, if you got big profits, obviously trade around it. But ENPH, I mean, let me pull up the monthly. Now, remember, I don't really care about fundamentals, but what did we say? Hit the channel high. Here's your alarm. Channel low. I mean, if natural gas and oil are coming down, who's going to be buying solar? Who wants to buy more solar? Who needs more solar? I mean, I was reading reports about even wind farms struggling. So, again, I don't necessarily wouldn't short ENPH, but I'm not too concerned about First Solar. I mean, I think if anything, it might. We'll see. I mean, we'll see, because the thing is that the market's going to be looking forward, and if ENPH's numbers are good, I mean, I think I would add more First Solar at this point, not be scared of it, right? If you trade around your positions, you took some off. That's how I'd look at it. And if it ever got back, I mean, go maybe like Teddy KGB, all in. If this thing got back up here, give that man his money. Yeah, if you know that reference from Rounders. Yeah, UNG beat me up, but I gave up on it. Remember, we talked about being able to pivot, mentally pivot. If something's not working, you move on. You just move right along. ENPH, I mean, this thing is just a donker, but it could bounce. I don't know. What's up, Cat? Channel high to channel low at some point. Hey, Jeff. How are you? Yeah, I love Rounders as well. Big worm, big perm. Just throwing out a bunch of movie lines. Give the man. He's like opening up the Oreos. He's looking at like, oh, you got my toe. LOL, it's Zeph. I can't call you Jeff? I thought that might translate into English. No, I guess not. My bad. What's up? Do this for another 20 minutes or so. Again, just hanging out. I'm not expecting the world. And here's the thing. When the trend is your friend, just be aware. And I have very few people actually know this because they pay attention. Is that it's what? The news will start coming in your favor when the trend's your friend. No, it's Jeff for dummy. Oh. I don't know French. I know Spanish. I know a little Portuguese. Know a few little. I know Japanese a little bit. Know Spanish really well, but not French. Know a little Italian here and there because they all kind of relate, but never really got into French. Puedo hablar español. Was it trata de hablar español todo el película, video, movie, whatever. I can understand it better than I can speak it. Come on, cat. You got to get up. And I'm not talking about the cat that's sitting in my lap. Oh, Filipino. Nice. Come on, cat. 253. Calling you. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? I know a lot of people have a lot of anxiety when the market just doesn't go in their favor. It's like they just assume the worst case scenarios, which I feel like that's pretty normal for someone who's not winning or have swung trade, if that's the right swing traded. You ever swung trade? It's not moving in my direction every minute of every day. Jeez. How long am I expecting to hold dust? That's a good question. I figured GDX would probably get back down into this 200-day trend line area. So, could that take the dust up to, what is it, right near 13 now? 14s? Right? 15? That not a bad trade if you bought it at 11. Thoughts on TTT at 60.50. Bonds looking weak. Is TTT a leveraged ETF? I expect bonds to go down. So, yeah, if that's one way to trade it. I just personally don't have a trade on. But we talked about, like, this double top, low, gap down. I don't know why anyone would buy bonds at this point if inflation, again, and it might look on paper lower, but I think it's anchoring in until the Feds really jack the rates. Yeah, I don't like the big gap on GDX. I love the big gap on it. It confirms the downward direction. I'm not a long metals at all. We talked about buying dust. People were like, you're crazy. You don't know anything about gold. I'm like, dude, I've been trading this thing for 20 years. You don't know crap about gold. I have a tuition bill of 7 figures with gold. I could teach the class. Not always right, but timing wise, I'm pretty spot on typically with the price action and the price level. Who remembers buying gold down here? Me. Actually, what's funny is I did sell most of it right here, but I didn't care. There's better trades out there. Yeah, you can't buy dust now. I wouldn't buy dust now. You don't want to chase it. Pray gold pops, and then you can trade it. What's your target on the TSLQ? What's your time frame? I think you could make 20, 30 points on this thing easy. Right? Like, I could see Tesla getting right back down into this, like, 140s, 150s. So I think you could easily get up into the 60, 50, upper 50s. Not bad. 25, 30, 40%. I don't know. I think the hardest thing that for the average person about Tesla is, I don't know if y'all remember, I should have shorted here and I didn't. I was like, brutal. Should have shorted it there. And again, some of y'all may remember, like, I took like $100 off of it pre-split. I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then it was like, wow. now that it's 1000% in my mind dead money, like only dumb people are buying Tesla. And I'm sorry if that's you or a friend or family, but they don't know how this works. Like it's now going to be in like the house of pain forever. And not saying it can't go up percentages if you buy it off the low. Don't misconstrue such. It's just it's not getting back up to these highs. Unless inflation goes nuts and all of a sudden like we have Argentina / stock markets, Venezuela, because people are literally buying stock only as a hedge against the currency because the dollar devaluation or whatever currency devaluation is so fast that it's better to buy companies that at least can charge more for their products. That's scary to think about. Hopefully we never get there, but Bed Bath & Beyond is up 30. I don't know. Did they announce they're going bankrupt? I don't know. Do not know. I know they have their bankruptcy proceedings this week, and probably the stock gets wiped out. Maybe the shorts who had shorted the ever-living bejesus out of are done, or maybe they get taken over. I don't know. Just things that you just don't even care about. Again, emotional capital, mental capital has only got so much to spend on it. If I'm paying attention to Bed Bath & Beyond, I'm probably missing bigger, better trades out there. Now someone might argue, well, short it. It's like, again, I just had this rant with Sympatia for Shopify. You short the trash, be careful. You might get thrashed, literally. You might get caught in a squeeze. And I hate the idea of being short something and it doubling and tripling. Because remember, there's no limit to the amount of money you can lose on a short if it's stock, hypothetically speaking. So why even go there? Again, I'd probably buy puts, but the IVs are so high on them, so it's a tough game. It's a tough game. You play with the, it's like playing the penny stocks, playing trash. Margins are gonna be, the margin for error is much wider to still be right. Do you want to play that game, or do you want to short things confidently? That really becomes a choice. I don't see, and again, the people that I learned trading from, the people that I've always expected in trading, never a day did I see them trading penny stocks. Never a day did I see them shorting and trading the non-leaders of the market. Why? Why? Because the leaders don't necessarily, non-leaders don't follow the market. Right? If something doesn't follow the market, all right, well then you better be real good at trading just that stock. Do I want to become an AMC professional like some of the folks on the, what's that board? The Mentality of Money? No, I don't want to be an AMC trading pro. I just don't. But that's a choice. Remember, no one's forcing anyone to trade anything. So, any more thoughts, questions, concerns? Appreciate you guys. Hopefully this stuff helps. I mean, it's not easy. XLF flat. This is not easy. And by adding more variables of confusion, you can make it as hard as you want. Yeah, man, no problem. Again, do you think the big smart money out there that's making a living off of this is sitting around trading Bed Bath & Beyond? You think they're trading GameStop? Do you think they're trading trash that has tight liquidity and traps abound? No, the only people getting rich are probably the market makers and the people who got in at the beginning and unloaded. Everyone else now is trying to. Now I could be wrong. There might be a small percentage of amazing traders in it, but what happens when AMC just doesn't move anymore? What good is it learning a stock that might be dead? You know what I'm saying? Like that's why watching the SPY. Learning how to trade the SPY, the Qs, market indexes, gold will always be around, oil, commodities, the leaders, and then the leaders change. Learning the tendencies of leaders. That stuff's a little easier, just a tad, I promise you. A little easier. However, we'll give credit to credit's due. Like some people have, they watch this thing and know every penny and trade every little tick on it. It's like, I don't know, I might argue this is a freaking bearish candle right here. A slightly higher high. So what happens if it can't close over 655? Adios, amigos. Tesla, come on down for my friends that are shorting it. Come on back. QQQ, starting to melt a little bit. What's that? Apple doing? Meta's flat. Netflix flat. Okay. Again, watch the IWM. If it's dying. This doesn't, remember, look at this. Right? Right? Versus, well, again, this looks worse, actually. Sorry. I guess what I'm trying to say is look for the IWM to confirm this. Maybe that's the better way to acknowledge it. And it should if it can close below the 195s. Today is a day to be patient, not jumping in trash or FOMO. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's kind of what I want to talk about. Like, if you have things that you're looking to short, wait for pops. Today is not the day to short. Right? Maybe Tesla. Maybe, yeah, probably Tesla. Maybe Caterpillar if it gets to 253. If it doesn't, all right, whatever. And then again, if you had some positions and some options and you're doing really well and you're like, you know what, let me take a little bit of this profit and I'll see what happens. That makes sense to me too. You know, trading around your positions. All or nothing trading is very difficult. It's mentally taxing to try to predict everything correctly all the time with 100% of your position. You know, they talk about profit pressure and FOMO and all that. All that stuff is real. So sometimes that's why it's best to just take some profits and go, all right, well, I'll come back. You hit your levels, come on back. You know, I'd love to see the SMH absolutely explode down. If it doesn't, we'll see what happens. I mean, I've got some references. I mean, this is the thing. This is like, if you're sitting around watching this, really getting excited, what you should be doing is what I did, is I took out a piece of paper, because I'm old school, and I just went through all the stocks, and I said, all right, well, what are the levels where if I see them hit downside and upside, I would act? If it gets down to this level, I'm taking profits. If it pops up to here, I'm adding. Like, already have this played out in your mind. But a lot of people won't do that, which, again, and so then when it happens, they're just unsure. Like, where would I short gold? I don't know. Show me the 175s, probably. Add to that. Right? Yeah. I mean, nobody does that. Right? I'm just pulling up, like, new core. It's interesting to me. This left-right combo. Speaking of AMC, like, that's what you want to see. Like, that looks bearish. Things that aren't bullish for the market. Now, again, it doesn't mean today has to be the day it starts the meltdown. But if it does, I'll be happy. And if it goes higher tomorrow on a pop or someday later, I'll be happy. You see how you try to get to indifference. And again, if you have stock or longer dated puts, you're comfortable with the chop action. It's the people who are buying the stuff that expires this week or tomorrow that you're like, oh, it better happen right now. What do you expect to hear from Jay Powell tomorrow? You know, I think we have to be honest and say that unemployment being at a 50-year low from the 1950s, I'm pretty sure he can't say, well, we better start cutting rates. How about I can just confidently say he's not going to say that. And he's going to say there's no rate cuts coming in the foreseeable future. Can we all agree on that? Now, again, how's that all, like, what's the exact wording? But I think that's what it bottom lines to. He's going to say, well, jobs are looking good. We still got to put price. We're trying to knock pricing pressure down. So we're probably going to have to keep rates higher for longer. Now, he might not say it that way, but that's what might come through. Yeah, nice, Mel. Again, I took all my GLD puts off. I still got GLD stock and GD dust. But I mean, the puts, and this is the thing about puts, right? Is like the chop action kills the IV. Well, that big gap, the IV expands, you know, about a mile wide. And then now what happens? The implied volatility is going to start squeezing back down, getting smushed. So the best time to take those puts would be near term. So I had some puts for next week, which are pretty, they were flat to down to up to down, and then exploded. And I was like, oh, I'll take that. Because I had some earlier ones that I had to roll out of that I took a loss on. But once they dropped, I was like, oh, I'll take that. Because the IV expansion on a gap. If you know options. And now again, people are asking about options. It's like, man, if you don't know the game of options, I really despise teaching it to people. Because again, it opens the can of gambling worms. Like if you gamble on stock now, and I give you options, it's like, it's like giving a kid a knife versus a grenade launcher. Like, kids can be dangerous with a knife. Give them a grenade launcher, someone's getting hurt, guaranteed. Guaranteed. Something bad's going to happen. Especially if you don't understand it. Next thing you know, you're going to put a lot of money into it. You're not going to have separate accounts. You're going to hit some winners, and then you're going to blow it all up. I mean, how do you know? Because I've done it myself. I'm very familiar with that process. That's why I always keep my money separate. Oh, look at that. NVIDIA. Someone talked about shorting it today. Or somebody was asking earlier, oh, it's up. What's wrong with, is NVIDIA going to the moon for earnings? No, here it comes right back. Down. Flat for the day. Just another wick. Just another wick in the wall. We don't need no education. No, it's just another wick. It's just another wick in the trend. I don't know. You can play with the drawings how you want. What about shorting spot? Spot gold? No, I haven't gone through financials. I was actually looking at them. No, I haven't. You talking about shorting spot gold, Bitter? No, shorting spot no stock. Maybe explain it a little better. I can help you. Oh, Spotify? Man, someone else is asking that. I mean, again, I think these are all trash stocks, man. They're all trash tech stocks. I haven't looked at Spot, so let me just confirm I'm correct about trash. Yeah. I mean, wasn't this like a $500 stock at one point? Oh. Okay, 400. 390. You got references up here. I mean, you got references. I mean, it goes all the way back. Probably bring it into this VAP zone. Again, the reason why the trash floats last the hardest is because people start shorting these names the hardest and they get squeezed. And when the market chops, it really knocks them out. So, I mean, it all makes sense. These stocks are all way overvalued and don't have long-term growth up like that they're trying to project. I personally just got to be careful. If you want to gamble with them, go right ahead. Financials. See, this is the easiest short out there right now. Like, who's going to take the brunt of the pain in a bear market? Financials. Holding up high and tight at a reference point. Let me go pull up the monthly for you. We don't need no education. You could, it's not rocket science here. I like the area. So shorting the FAS makes sense. So on the daily, it's just playing out. Let's go look at some of the names. No, because the move really hasn't started. JP Morgan, lower high, just hanging out. Morgan Stanley retested the range highs. Can't stay over it today. Watch the 99. Goldman, absolute crap on their earnings. Then fills the gap. Wow. Okay. Because remember, this is the close and that's the open. So the gap fills. Again, I don't trust financials at all. But they were due to bounce because everyone hated it. Remember, you got to remember the psychology of things where a lot of people just bash or go bearish. And it's like, it's a trader's market. Let's look at the housing index stocks real quick. XHB. Yeah. That's not good. Hitting the old... I got a lot of trend lines on this one. Now it's peeling back, starting to lead lower. That's not a sustainable move. That's not a sustainable move, my friends. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns, criticisms, jokes? Again, housing has picked up, but the thing is I think a lot of it was just pent-up demand. Literally pent-up demand because nobody buys houses from literally Halloween till New Year's. And so now that people's jobs might be conditional upon moving for the new year, or people are waiting. Now there's more inventory too. It's tough to know. I mean, I thought housing we'd find in the middle, and it might not be till later in the year. Either way, I'm sitting on a bullet to fire to buy a property at some point this year. It's just I'm going to see if rates go lower. If they don't, then fine. I'll get a better equity deal, and I'll deal with it accordingly. I mean, rents are at like crazy. I mean, I think they're up 30% year over year or something like that. I was reading some of the median rents. I'm like, wow, that's not good. But here's the thing, like think about all the people who own homes. They're passing on all of their higher costs to the consumer, right? The AC systems, the old R3, R2, whatever, I can't remember. The old Freon, now they have to get new systems. That's going to get passed upon to the consumer. Electric bills, people are whining, complaining about HVAC, solar, all stuff. All right, well, if people are going to put them on their houses, the consumer's going to pay for it. The person renting is going to cover that bill long term. I mean, there's a whole lot of little things. Just the life cycles of things. In a bull market, a lot of people were doing home improvements. I would say in like 2000s, about 10 years to that cycle. We even saw a lot of home improvements in the last couple of years, but I don't see why that wouldn't continue ultimately in the sense of get bang for your buck to get the rent up. I know some places like Denver are requiring landlord inspections where they have to hit certain codes, so people have to update and they have to pay a $50 fee to be a landlord. Well, guess who's going to cover that? Not the landlords. They're just putting it into the rent. So, I mean, rents going higher. The feds are screwed. I mean, I just don't know if everybody lives in the United States and sees this, but like they're gonna have to push rates uncomfortably high, and I think at some point that's gonna create the crash that they want to get the prices of things really down. But is it sustainable? We'll see. TTNL, the market is down, slow and steady. Keep all prayers. Yep. Thank you for the compliment, CA. Any other questions, thoughts? I mean, I love this stuff. I mean, I saw somebody today. What is this? I don't know. He's probably watching. Because I have a lot of like secret admirers. If you don't know, somebody was saying, what did I respond to? What was it? Oh, somebody was talking to this guy, talking about this pattern, but he was, where was he? He's relating it to the ARK ETF. Okay. And he was like, oh, it's a stage 2 breakout. I'm like, man, this is still at the bottom stage. Like, this is still here. I'll show y'all. If no one has questions, I'll end it here. I mean, you're still in the stage 1. The stage 1, and this is the thing people don't realize, like that stage 1 can last for a long time. If you don't believe me, I always love to show Cisco, because Cisco was the stock at one point. You don't know, you don't know. If you don't know, now you know. And I mean, it's pretty interesting. From down there, he went from like 8 up to 30, which is a big move. But I still know people who bought it in the 70s and 80s who are like still waiting for that retest. It's like, I don't think you're getting it there. So is this not considered a stage 1? I guess maybe stage 2. I don't know. I just laugh. It's just this thing about stocks is once you lose momentum, it's like the fuel for stocks to go higher. Momentum is lost. You better get outs the way. Not a question, but damn, I really like the SMH weekly chart. Got to trade around that way down, but the potential swing move is nice. Yeah, I mean, I still got some underwater Soxus that I'm just, whatever, I'll deal with it accordingly. Let's look at the weekly since you spoke its name. Yeah, you got to love it up here. Good gosh. Yeah, of course. I mean, there's a ton of them. You could probably draw this box lower, which we did. I didn't think we'd get this high. But wicks are wicks. Wicks are wicks. That's what they do. We don't need no wicks. I mean, this is a monster like head and shoulders formation potentially. Again, if you want to consider it that, with a trending, you know, how do you? Again, I'm just playing around on the weekly. You could draw it more steep if you wanted. What's up, cat? So let's draw this way as well, because you might have a back test of this area, and that's what makes sense. But I mean, I don't think people realize is that the SMH, I mean, it's just, man, this thing is, talk to me when it's in like the 140s, you know, 150s. Yeah, I mean, it's got a complex shoulder complex. Like, this is looks pretty normal. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, exactly. Now, will we ride? I mean, it'd be really nice if Soxus went, or you know, if SMH went directly down to 140. But I mean, it took weeks to go from. Man, remember this run off COVID? I mean, it went from 100 to 260. That was stupid. And then it consolidated. Here's the blow off top. Here's that consolidation. Drop, consolidate. Can't get above this. Now this is the bear trap. This is where I think, Eric, you and I probably been doing this a long time. You're familiar with this. This is where I get the most excited for the dump, because what happens here is, like, if you can't break over this, and why you're, I mean, it's the exact reason I'm, goodbye. Like, adios. Like, that's the problem with this thing. If people don't see, like, this is overhead resistance. If you cannot get over this, see you later. And if there's a trap, just like there was a trap down here, the 0.618, went a little below. Well, here's your trap up to the range highs in the 100 week. Goodbye. And I'm talking about not goodbye, like a goodbye, like goodbye, adios, amigos, sayonara, arrivederci, hasta luego. Yeah. I mean, it's probably going to, and this is the thing, right? It would probably retest this 200 week around 200. I've said I thought like 230s would make sense. That would be probably another bounce point, because, I mean, coming off the top, the first drop usually gets bought. You might not really see it on the weekly, but here you go. Or right here. That's what's hard, right? You sick son of a biatch. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I couldn't watch the 1 minute on the Bed Bath & Beyond, but I imagine the volume's probably huge. If you like to watch that kind of stuff, if you're into kinky stuff, no, I'm just kidding. I don't think I would. I don't think I like to put myself in that position. The red light district. You're just walking through there watching it like, ooh, ooh, whoa, whoa, that's interesting. Ooh, all right, never knew that was possible. That's funny. What's the SPY doing? Is it still melting more? Oh, okay, no, it's sticking around this 409. Got to clean up at 409. You know what 409 is. We'll see. Any other questions? Again, I don't have a ton going on today. Wife is out of town for 3 days for work, so I'm just hanging out. Please reach out if you got questions. Again, appreciate the love, support. Please do yourself a big favor and don't stay tuned in for another couple minutes. Listen to this. If you're thinking about the markets and your goals in here, what are your goals? Are your goals to just trade and get rich? Are you trying to run this like a business? Because if you are, then you need to think of it like someone who is running a business. And if you're making money, please pay yourself. Pull money out. Having the biggest trading account just means you have bigger problems if you lose it and you're not that good at trading, or if it gets real hard. And sometimes you're just going to be wrong. And so taking money out and paying yourself is the key to mental stability, because now you're not chasing. If you say, for example, your account, you had $20,000 and you made $5,000, take out $3,000, pay yourself, pay your mortgage. Know that no matter what the hell happens, you've taken a piece of pressure off of the plate, essentially. Because if you don't ever pay yourself, it's no different than going to the casino and you got money on the line the whole time. You're not guaranteed to win. Remember, profits are not real until realized. And I had to learn that the hard way, because I'd be like, I don't think you guys realize, like, I'd take accounts, build them up, blow them up. Not fully, but big losses. And I'd go, all right, well, now I got to chase back. And it would take a year or two for my mind to just not even be like, again, trying to reach that old high. It just seemed like forever. It seemed like the Tesla high. Like, it's just never coming. Well, what would have been better is if I made a ton of money and pulled out a ton of money too, in the sense of it was all, relative to what you're making. Right? Because what I've done many times is if I need to, I can reload an account if I'm really concerned about it. Or, this is what's great, and I think a lot of people don't do this. Say you have that money in like your bank account, your side account, you're putting it in to buy some real estate, you're putting it in to pay yourself, pay your family, do all these great things. And then all of a sudden you see a trend that looks very obvious. Well, maybe you throw a couple grand back in the market or whatever you want to do and take it accordingly. And I typically wouldn't recommend shorting, putting more money back in the market, because again, you're limited to your upside. But at extreme bottoms, oh my God. If you took money out and were like, you know what, you just sat there and now it got real obvious, that's not a bad play. It's not a bad use of the money. But remember, if it was in the account and you were doing that the whole time, now you probably got problems, right? Because now you've lost that money. So I'm telling you, like, there's a big piece to the market psychology by just taking the pressure off, putting money aside, paying yourself, paying your mortgage, paying your bills, paying off. I mean, again, I like debt that is got low interest rates, but if that makes you feel better, pay off your debts, put some money aside for your college kids. I mean, whatever you do to make yourself, and this is the thing, if you're not familiar with this, because again, I don't know everybody, like, good habits lead to more good habits. You're doing like habit stacking, like good things. Well, I know when I take money out of the market, it reinforces me wanting to take more money out of the market because I'm doing more things that lead to good habits, that lead to a good lifestyle, to lead to my happiness. If I just constantly am gambling, rolling the dice, trying to grow my account endlessly, I don't ever like take a break. You never really arrive, right? So I always like warn me, like, what's your arrival point? Do you want to make $5,000 a month? Do you want to make 15? I don't know what your number is, but if you don't think of it like a business and you don't have these numbers in your head and you're not really having notes about what you're trying to do here, you're just rolling the damn dice at the casino hoping to hit. And if you hit, great. And if you don't, great. I mean, sorry. Your month was lost. And here's the thing again, and this is what I think people who realize, like, taking money out, oh, I might have a little less to take a shot at the next trend. Well, guess what? Earn your damn reward. Be better. Tighten it up. Think of this as like you're playing poker and you played a hand and you lost. What are you going to do? Are you going to just go back out there and gamble harder? Or are you going to just tighten up your game? You're going to tighten up and wait for better setups. You're going to tighten up and wait for a better layout of the market. And I'm honestly, people are like, oh, certain people disappear for that. I'm proud of you if you can do that, because it means you have self-control. If you're not happy or you're not comfortable with the market, step the hell away. And honestly, I do this for a living during the day. As for swing trading, it's hard as hell. But the people who are trying to do it intraday, good luck. It's even 10 times harder. I hope people realize that. Like, that's kind of the point of, like, having that understanding. It's much harder to predict intraday. If you can predict the trend and build good habits and be thoughtful, now you have something you can, again, that's replicable. Now a lot of people say, oh, I can day trade and make good money. I run my little algo that I created. Okay, well, I've seen that play out a lot. Kapow. Building algorithms that they get off algo.com or whatever those stupid websites are that are pushing this stuff. And it's just one of those things where, again, you can't get rich off of cookies and day trading. The goal is to make safe money. Trade your leverage ETFs if you have to. I think, again, especially if you define your risk. Trade your options. Give yourself time. Be in the money. Buy less options to guarantee wins versus buying a ton of out-of-the-money options that lose guaranteed if you're wrong. Completely, 100%. There's a lot of little things. Anyway, all right, well, please be safe out there. Be thoughtful. Hit me up. I'm around if you need help. I just want people to realize, like, in the process of a swing trade playing out, there are going to be times where you just got to wait. And if you don't remember, let me just kind of remind you guys of this. I think a lot of people in June couldn't wait. Then we went, right? Talked about the chopping down here. Talked about the chopping to go higher. Okay, well, what about down now? Well, now that you've got the pivot point, you drop, you will pop, right? You drop, you will pop. You drop, you will pop at some point. At some point. So, if you have your positions, at some point you've got to be prepared to take some profit off, take some options, roll them out, and look for what? Expect a pop later on. So, know your levels. Is it 400? Maybe. Check this out. Last time we went below the 20-day to rally back above it. Well, here you go. Maybe that's it. Hope that's the last piece of insight you really need. Take it easy. Try to let your brain relax. Go exercise. Go do what you need to do. Don't sit here and stare at this crap all day. I promise you, it's not going to make you more money. Study the past. Talk to you later. Peace.